Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you guys are all doing well. Fix my volume here. Just give me a quick thumbs up, anybody, that you can hear me, and I will just continue on. So I wanted to just start with a bit of sad news. If you didn't see on my community page, Gary Champion passed away yesterday morning. I got an email from Bunny, and she wanted me to convey her thanks, her love, her appreciation for all of the support that our community gave her. So just keep her in your prayers. I know that, if you've ever taken care of anybody in hospice or taking care of someone till they passed away, it's a very, very emotional, it's an emotional roller coaster, basically. It really is, because it's such a blessing to be able to be there and to be able to help. It's an honor. And at the same time, you're really conflicted, because you don't want the person to suffer. You don't want the person to be in pain, or to linger in a space that is unhappy to see them in. So it really pulls and tugs and at your emotions and your mental health. And so it's really, really difficult if you haven't done it. But if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you'd like to leave a message of condolence, you can do it. You can go on his channel and get her email and email Bunny directly, or you can, I told her I would get her, I let the community know I would send her our comments from the announcement that I made. So if you can leave a message in there if you want to, a prayer, just a message of condolence, a message of support, whatever you like. It reminded me, though, because Cassie and I our personal week, which was, nothing compared to what Bunny's been through this past week, and what so many go through every week. But we started the week at a funeral. Another family member passed away, so we were at a funeral on Monday. Cassie's been dealing with things with her health. We have the the democracy emergency that happened this week, or the debacle that happened this week, and then this passing yesterday. So, but I was reminded, and I will remind you guys as well, that my guides did say, and I think it was I think it's in the 2024 predictions, but I know that they've mentioned it in a session like this for Let's Chat on Sunday, that we're going to be going through roller coasters on the micro level and the macro level. And it has to do a lot with a lot of people. This period of time, people will be leaving the earth. People will be going through stuff to build their resilience, make them stronger. There will be, and a lot has to do with just the energy. The energy is so shifty and changey and weird that we're all going to be kind of going through it. I know for me, I've been very just like, some days I have lots of energy, some days I have none. Some days I'm perfectly fine and in a peaceful place, and some days I'm laid out and depressed. So if you're going through that yourself, it's okay. Part of it too is to get us to face our personal demons and our personal fears. Doing that kind of shadow work, they call it in the spiritual community, but that facing our own fears and facing our own worries and facing our own personal failings, and facing things that maybe we put off facing for a really long time. This is the time to do that. And if we're not going to do it, we're going to be put into situations where we're forced to do it. And this, as a country, this last week, this had really made the Democrats, especially, and I know this isn't a political show, but we touch on it sometimes, or made people that are worried about the state of things really have to face some fears. And if you need more information or help doing that, you can look at the video that I put up about I put up the quote from Roosevelt talking about there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And really that's what we're being asked to do, is face some of our biggest fears, both personally, like on the micro level, but also on the macro. And also facing demons, right? We have old Civil War energy coming up. We have World War II energy coming up. We've got all of these really ruckus, kind of bottom of the barrel kind of energies coming up. And we're having to work through those and meet those as they come up. And it's hard. It's hard as a country, and it's hard as an individual. So I give you permission. If you need to stay in bed for a day and just be down and think about things and be in that place, don't live there, but you may need to do that some days. It's okay. Listen to what you need. If you need, people around you, call friends, call family. If you need isolation, go to a pretty place and sit in isolation, or go to a safe place if it's your bedroom or your living room or your kitchen, and be there with your own spirit. But go with, really listen to what your own energy is asking of you. Is it asking you to isolate? Is it asking you to get other energy and bring it in that's positive? But yeah, do that, okay? And today is a day where I answer your spiritual questions. If you have personal ones, it's fine to put them up. If it's something like, what do my guides have to say, I will broaden it out and say, what is a collective message from my guides for all of us? I'll broaden it out to more of a collective thing, because it's for everybody. And I know that a lot of times our personal readings can speak to everyone, but this is just a different situation. And I appreciate, like Sandra in Connecticut, everybody that's going to be jumping in and moderating, and just keeping us in a safe space here. This isn't one of those that Adam's here to do that for me. So I appreciate the moderators that just jump in and do such a fine job. It's very appreciated. So this is a place today we can be in a safe space. We can commiserate. We can talk about our worries and fears. We can get answers from the guides. And I want to welcome everybody. And if you're new, welcome. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this stuff, if there are things that are coming up that you feel like people need to hear, send it on to people. Because this is a time a lot of people are going to be, there's going to be that big, giant fear energy that comes up for people. And we need to, and my guys, I was going to say fight it, but my guys just said neutralize it, make it neutral, and I think that's a good place to start. And as you know, my guides are very practical. they're very practical, to the point where it can be aggravating sometimes, because I'm freaking out, and they are so measured and practical and telling it like it is. So in the kindest way possible. And but I know that in the end, this is an experience we're having. It's an experience of tremendous growth for every spirit that's here right now. And I also know through my own guides, through things I've read, through things I've personally experienced, that we chose to come here. We're here because we wanted to come. And whether it seems like that on a Tuesday when you can't find your keys and you don't have any money and you just got laid off, I'm telling you that is the case. And we usually get overly excited and overly ambitious when we're making our plans, especially if you're new. You might get overly ambitious and put a ton of stuff on your plate. We tend to do that, but and we take chances too, because there are a million different scenarios that can happen in a lifetime, right? Depending on where we choose to go and where other people choose to go and how our paths cross. But we're told that I'm even getting like we're kind of downloaded with a million possibilities. We really do understand. We're not, I almost get angry when I hear this, but I know it's just people trying to feel out what feels right to them. In my experience, we're not stuck here. We're not in a karmic prison. We may do that to ourselves to a degree. We may, want to straighten things out or fix things or learn a lesson we haven't learned. So there is some of that going on, but it's not a prison. It's not something we have to do. It's believe it or not. And I think that's where this idea comes from, is that we choose to come here as ruckus and crazy and, Old West as it is. We choose to come in. And a lot of times we choose to come into the same territory or same country. If there is a story unfolding with sequels, we want to be in the sequel, right? We want to be in the sequel to see what's going to happen. We want to be part of it because we were there at the beginning. I can't tell you how many readings I've had with people who are from the beginning of the country, to do with Native Americans from this country, to do with slavery and slave ownership and being a slave in this country. So many spirits are back from all of those things in World War II and things like that. So sometimes it's the spirits that are here, that want to, hey, let's go back and fix this thing, because when I was here, it wasn't fixed. So there's some of that going on too, I believe, and I always tell people to, what you think and what you feel in the end rests with you. You have to decide what resonates with you, and certain things resonate at certain points, and then later on something else may resonate, or something you put aside and thought, I didn't even know what they're talking about. It really resonates later on. So if it doesn't make sense, or you don't like it, or it doesn't resonate with you, leave it. Just leave it. But yeah, so let's talk about this stuff, and let's ask some questions of the guides. They usually have me bound in with some kind of bigger message, and I guess that was it. So, Anne, welcome to the club. Yes, please join the club if you need that extra support. I do mini read. It's the only place I do personal readings, so I do mini readings there every month for people. We have a movie club. I give a spirit guided message and practice at the beginning of the month. We have a spiritual discussion with a guest every 3 months, every quarter. We have a lot of, but mostly we love and support each other, and that's the big thing. So if you're feeling like you need that right now, or you would like that, or even like to just try it, it's month to month, so you can join and quit anytime you want. And I have people drop out and come back, and it's fine. It's a revolving door, and I don't care. It's fine. People need it when they need it, and they don't when they don't. And I have no judgment on that at all. I'm just here. I'm doing it, whether people come or not. Okay, so welcome everybody. Mother Earth Gotcha, standing in the light. Annie Bear, 7F. Welcome, Gina, Teresa, Vicky, Spirit Rock, Polly Stevens, Craig. Welcome, Craig, and Clara. Welcome, Clara and Craig. Okay, so I'm going to start with Gina's question. And again, don't worry too much about how to phrase it or whatever. If it's personal, it's okay, but I may just like broaden it out so it's a little more, for everyone. And you'll still get an answer within that. So, okay. So hi, Kim. Sometimes when I connect with my guides, I feel one is a nun. Wondering what you see or feel when you connect with your guides or our guides during mini readings. Sure. So Gina, what I want to say is that when it comes to your own guides, trust what you're getting, trust what you're feeling. And what I find in general is that with guides, they're energy, right? We're all energy. When we're not here, we are at a different frequency, but we're still an energetic being with a personality and feelings about things, and not thoughts as we know thoughts, but consciousness and understanding and a myriad of experiences. And that's who we are. But we're energy, and we know each other not by a literal name, but an energetic imprint. And like I said, this is just what I've gotten from my guides. If you've gotten a name, I'll explain that in a second. But our guides know that we're on the earth plane, and we are thinking with a brain right now. And they know that on the earth, we name everything. We name inanimate objects, so we know what they are. We name each other, so we know who we are. We name things all of the time. We name, spiritual ideas and principles, even though some of those things can't be put into language really. We do it anyway. So they know this. The same goes for appearance, feeling. They're telling you something about themselves. So I often say when I work with someone and their guides come in, I get a feel for the group. Sometimes one will be forward, or I'll feel like one is kind of speaking for the group, but I'll still get a feel for the group. And a lot of times that feel is either telling the person I'm speaking to what they are like in the spirit realm. So if they're very, very, I got one where it was just like dramatic. Everything, they even seemed like thespians. And I was talking to someone who was like, oh, that's me. I taught drama for years, and I still work in theater, blah, blah. So they're telling you like that part of you we're greatly connected to, and that's who you are. On the other side, you're very dramatic, and you like theatrics, and you like that kind of thing. So they're either telling you something about them as a group, they're telling you something about who you are on the other side, and they're also can be telling you something about a past life you shared with them, because guides often have been physical, and so you shared lives with them, or you shared experiences with them, and it's almost like they're trying to jog your memory when they do that, because they do that often as well. And it's always left to the person. I can give you what I get, but you have to be the last word in what you feel. And if you feel one is a nun, that is either telling you that you were a nun in their past life, and that's how you connect with this guide. They could be telling you on the other side, you're very much like a nun. You're very maybe more solitary, and maybe have a group of sisters of feminine energy that you run with. It could be telling you lots of things. I'm not saying it's just that, but there could be lots of ways your spirit can kind of mimic that of a nun. To me, as I say this, I'm feeling like it's a past life, but you have to be the one to decide what feels right. And sometimes just going through, well, it could be this, it could be this. And when you hit on it, sometimes it will feel like you'll get chills, or you'll feel like, oh, that's probably what it is. I feel like that's probably what it is. With this, I do feel like it's a past life connection, but you have to be the final say. And in general, when you get a feel for, I feel like one is, Native American, or I feel like, for some reason, I feel like one's wearing a military uniform. You have to feel the pieces together, because it's a lot of these things you can't intellectualize. We try to do that, put everything through our brain. And so much of this is about feeling. What does it feel? How do you feel? Does that feel true? So getting, and so many of the exercises, I know my classes, I know classes online, I know, guided meditations, is getting you to try to feel instead of just think, because thinking is great and thinking is a tool, but so often we're trying to put things through the brain that really you can't intellectualize it. You have to, it's feeling. And so, so that's what I would say for my own guides. I always feel like they get frustrated with my lack of confidence. I feel like they do. I feel like they get really frustrated with me with that, because I feel like it's a road I've gone down many times. I do feel like there's one in front that seems to kind of take the lead a lot, as far as, especially when it comes to clairaudience. I feel like it's one guide conveying for the group. And I think they've just found that's the most effective way to, for some reason, she can hear him. So let him go up. I feel like it's a guy, it's a male energy, or a more masculine energy. And I do feel like my guides are more masculine than feminine, which is interesting, but I don't feel like the masculine is that masculine. I feel like there's kind of, it's almost a mixture. But within spirits leaning towards the masculine. And that's just what I feel. And it may shift and change as I shift and change. So, so I hope that answered the question. And I'm sorry it was a long question, but it's a great question. And I think it's one that a lot of people have, is their guides. And all I can say is they're your guides. So trust what you feel. And some of it you may not be able to put into words. Because some of the traits that my spirit guides have, I don't feel like I have language for, really. So trust that as well, that maybe it's something that it needs to be more felt than expressed through, in a verbal way. And maybe the words will come to you, So, and thank you for the condolences, Mountain Sunshine. Thank you. Okay, and people are sharing. I'm so glad this community. I mean, we all take care of each other, right? And people are sharing about their experiences with taking care of family and relatives and things like that. So it's hard. I'm going to turn the fan. It's really hot today. So 1 second. Please excuse my moving about, and hopefully it won't affect my the way you can hear me. But it's really warm up here. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I should have thought of that before. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Yeah. So James is saying we're in a confluence of two ages, entering a new cycle. The energy is mixed, like the confluence of fresh water and salt water. Neither one nor the other, but both in a wild mix of saturation. And I could not agree more. And Craig's talking about even the weather, right? Oh, Craig, I'm so glad you're okay. We had flooding here in Albuquerque last night too, in the downtown area. Luckily, I'm at a higher altitude. That's so great, and I pray for the people that are not, and we're going to be right. It's like I did my meditation this morning. My guides gave me this imagery of kind of by coming to the earth at this time, being here at this time, and even just the last 10 years, 15 years. That it's like we have decided to jump into a boat during a storm. So not only are we dealing with the boat itself, like our own personal lives and all the stuff that goes with it, the hole in the boat and this and that, we're also dealing with all of the storm, right? The storm outside of the bigger drama going on. And at the same time, we're trying to steer our ship to smoother waters. So that was the imagery they gave me, but it's interesting that it sounds like James got something, with water as well. And I think that water is always a great teacher as to how to deal with things as well, to kind of to go with the flow, to move in a fluid way, to not get stuck in stances and stuck in ways to be very, to be in kind of surrender mode, which is not, surrender mode does not mean giving up. I think it's a big misconception. Surrender means to allow things to be as they are. And realizing these are the way things are. And then once you can do that, and you can decide what comes next. When you stay in this resistance, you don't get to that point where you say, okay, well, this is where we are. Let's see, let's decide what comes next. That old, we talked about it before, that stuck in the mud, as long as you're just fighting the mud and denying you're in the mud and all these things, you cannot get out of the mud. You need to, at some point, say, I'm stuck in the mud. What next? So that's what we're talking about. And that reminds me of water as well. Yeah. So yeah, and we've got the 4th coming up, I do wonder when we go back and celebrate, some of these things, whether it's Christmas, and we have this kind of really spirit of generosity that kind of washes in for a little while, what we do when we bring in holidays and celebrate things. Because I've always liked the 4th of July, but it does bring in some interesting energies from the old, right? And now I'm like, is that a good idea? I don't know. Yeah, Craig, and there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I go to my room, turn on my TV with TCM, which was my mom's happy place too, and 1920s to 50s movies. When it gets too dark, I know Claire's there too, safe watching movies. Yeah, it's when you have those safe spaces, use them. It's like a toolbox. That's the way I think of it. It's a toolbox. And when you need something out of the toolbox, you use it. It doesn't mean you sit in the toolbox. It means that you take something out, you use it, and then you get on with it, right? Before all the drama this week, I had a wave of peace, felt to stop questioning and be in the moment. Yes. So, and you're asking, is that your guides? Yes. And that's where we all should be all of the time. It's hard because we have a brain that takes us back to the past and pulls us into the future. But the only time you are completely aligned with your spirit is when you're in the moment. There's just no doubt about that. That's where your spirit lives. That's where your guides are. That's where I have to be when I read, and every reader has to be where they read. They cannot be in their head. If they do, the reading will be off or more off because we can't be on all the time, but or perfect all the time. But when you're in that mind space, that's your human self. When you're aligned with the present and you're kind of out of the head space and you're in the present moment, you're aligned with your spirit. You're aligned with source. You're aligned with your guides. You're aligned with anything that's connected with source, or that is part of source on the other side. You're connected, and you're also connected with that part of you that is your spirit, your higher self, your soul. You're aligned, and so absolutely, anytime you can get in that mode, and it doesn't mean sitting in perfect stillness. It can mean that. But like I said, I go into the present a lot when I do housework, and a lot of monks do too, right? Because they have the raking and the things that they do that are literally household, the scrubbing of the floor back and forth, right? It's a meditative practice. And so anything that gives you that meditative practice brings you to the present. Gardening, painting, coloring, it may be sitting in silence. But it doesn't mean that it's void of activity. It can be an active state. But it's usually repetitive or very concentrated. That's all that they're asking you to do, is kind of bring your concentration down to the now, to what is happening right here in front of you, rather than all over the place and being dragged along by your thoughts. to the past and the present. That's when you're not in that space of the now. We go there all the time because we're humans. So don't knock yourself. If you've been like, I've been present all day and now I'm thinking about the election, it's okay. We're going to do that. It's just that you know that you have that place to come back to when it gets too topsy-turvy. And I've done that many times this week. Brought myself back to the present and thought, okay, what's happening right now? Nothing's happening. I'm sitting here as I always do at this time of day. I'm doing my emails, or I'm talking to Cassie, or I bring myself back here. Because most of the time we're just doing what we do, whatever our daily activities are, we're doing that. Our minds are what spin us out into horrible possibilities and the horrible past and all of these things. That's the drama creator, the drama creator that we all have. Okay. Sacred hug. Okay, so I'm feeling not connected to spirit lately. I've tried to connect and it's empty. What do your guides say I can do to reconnect? Sure. Let's talk about this because I think a lot of people are feeling that. So 1 second. Okay, for you, I'm getting this for you, and it may be for other people too. So this is what I'm getting, that sometimes when our spirits back up from a way we've always connected, it's to get us to grow and connect, find other ways to connect, and find other ways to have that connected feeling. So if you've always used meditation and it's always worked, they're asking you to grow beyond that and use other things. Do it in other ways. And it may be that you may not be in a position where you can do the things you've always done. You may be having to, maybe there'll be more people around you, or there'll be more confusion around you. So you're not going to be able to connect in the way that you normally do. So they're asking you to find some other tools to help you do that. I'm also getting to that there's a need to move beyond to how you receive spirit. So they're talking about, so it's a little bit what we talked about at the beginning, that sometimes you particularly in the beginning, you're looking for thoughts that come in, something that comes in with your, through your mind's ear. Peace, everything's okay, getting pictures of, the sun coming out and things like that. Those are, typically the things that not only we look for, but that we get in the beginning, because it's human references, right? It's human things. It's using our senses in some way. And so in this case, and in many cases, I'm getting to that it's calling on you to almost receive in a more in a way that's a little less obvious and a little more nuanced, a little more subtle, right? So those little feelings, getting chills, I mean, that's still using your physical body. So but more like a feeling, and more like a they're showing even kind of almost releasing the physicalness, or releasing the physical body and feeling more with your spirit. So there's something I feel like that's going on with you personally, because I'm getting like a mixture, because they're kind of giving me, it could be this, but when they're talking to you, it just feels like you've reached an impasse where you kind of need to go deeper. And so I feel like they're calling on you to go deeper. So it's almost like not looking for those same things, or those same feelings that you've been having, to go deeper and allow other things to come in. And they're saying, pay attention to the subtlety, the little tiny things, the little tiny, feelings, or they keep giving me this feeling of like the spirit slightly raising out of the body. And I know to do that, you need to be very, 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 very calm, very sedentary, and everything needs to slow. So your breathing needs to come very, very slow and shallow, and your heart rate needs to come way down. And so I feel like they're asking you to dig deeper. And there may be a reason for that. There may be a reason for that. Maybe they feel like it's time to grow, or hey, these new vibrations are going to be coming in and you don't want to get sick and feel all the things that come in with that. So let's work on raising your vibration a little bit now. Our guides never do stuff that's not for our best interest. And so a lot of times when they back up, sometimes they're getting us to kind of chase them a little harder. They're playing hard to get, right? And sometimes they are to get us to grow and seek them out in a different way. And it can be also to get us to rest, especially as a reader. If you feel like your guides are not there all of a sudden, it's usually telling you to take a break. I've had that happen several times. And they're getting you to maybe set new boundaries, you pull back and rest, recalibrate, bring in other tools that can help you, that cannot have you going into those deep, dark energies so much, or into other people's energies so much, maybe using outside tools to help you do that, because you're going to have a really difficult month with a lot of people that have very low vibration. It's always for your best good. So they're always trying to get you to, ebb and flow with what's going on in the outside. And they're always trying to help us do that. They always want us to go the easier, more joyful route. Always. They always do. Because we're going to have to go through hard stuff no matter what. So if they can help us avoid going through something that's more difficult and harder, they will do it. They will try. Okay, so I hope that answers that question, and maybe gets you guys to think about those times that you feel disconnected. Think of disconnecting in a different way, looking for more subtlety or other ways that things may be coming in that wasn't the same way as it was before. They may be getting you to deepen your practice or expand your practice by adding tools or adding things, or they might be getting you to take a rest, back off and just rest. Yes, but they do that too sometimes if you've been really dependent on their feedback, because just like a person here, they don't want you to get dependent on them. You have a higher self speaking to you all the time. Your guides are kind of the echo chamber in a lot of ways. They're echoing, and I'm getting this from them. I'm not just saying this out of nowhere. It's like they're reinforcing what your higher self is telling you. So they're kind of the reinforcements. They're one step beyond that. So you've got that constant, base intuition that's always just there. It's just there. It's just there. And if you're going outside of that and depending on them too much, they might pull back and get you to try to go into your higher self. That's the only thing that stands between you and your guides. And that's usually the same. They're telling you what your higher self is saying or what your higher self knows. They just said, they're like an echo chamber. So that's new. It's new to me. I always knew I always thought of it that way. Like it's us, our higher self, our guides source, or a guides angel source, or whatever, more higher beings after that, or more more enlightenment beyond that. But so that makes sense, even though I've never heard it put that way before from my guides, but they're giving it to us today. So okay, I know there is such bliss on the other side. As humans, we can cry when joy overwhelms us. Are there tears of joy in heaven? What a great question. What an interesting question. So they're putting it more as like waves of bliss. And they're showing like an expansion. So, and they're saying like that it can be, depending on the situations and depending on the whatever has happened to make you feel that joy or that have that overwhelming feeling. It's more of an expansion and a wave of bliss. That's how they're explaining it. And they're saying it can be overwhelming, but when you are overwhelmed on the other side, you just expand. You don't really, in a way, tears of joy are almost like what I'm feeling can't just be contained in here. And so that is our way of expanding, right? We're expanding out into tears. And they're saying it's the same kind of thing, but it looks different because they're in spirit form. They're not in a human form where you're so locked in that you need to expand physically, right? You need to expand by letting the tears out and expanding that way. I've never thought of this stuff before, you guys. I've never thought of it this way. But they're saying on the other side, there's an expansion that goes on that's just different because they're in spirit form, but it's still the same thing. It's a growth and expansion from the overwhelming nature of what has happened or what is going on. And they feel those waves of bliss and the expansion in our experiences as they see them and as we have them as well. So it is like a butterfly. It affects everything. And the closer you are to it, the more it affects you. Okay. Okay, and we kind of covered this, Carol. It's a little, you're putting it in a kind of a different way, and that last question was about guides specifically. Okay, and let me ask about this. Let me put it in the way that you put it and see what they say. So they're saying you can't be in a constant state of outward flow, that you'll have periods of standing still or even going backwards a little bit, that it's kind of the way of things. They're talking about the breath. They're saying, to keep life on this planet, there's a breath that goes in and out. And so there is this expansion and retraction all the time going on. And so they're saying that the main thing to remember when you have these periods of retraction, that it's for a reason. There's something going on. Sometimes intellectually we can figure it out. Sometimes we can understand it. Oh, I'm burning the candle at both ends again. I need to chill out and stop. But sometimes we can't see the answer. And so they're saying, it is always to your benefit to sit in the now, sit in your own spirit, kind of be with yourself, be with your own spirit, not be with your thoughts, be with your head, but just kind of quiet and be there to remind yourself there's something there. Because they're saying sometimes we can get so disconnected, it feels like there's nothing. There's just this and this table and that wall, and that's all there is. And we can get locked in that way, especially if something awful has happened, or you witness something awful, you witness some of the cruelty and the meanness and the around you. It can feel like there is nothing. How could this ever be part of something spiritual? How could this ever be? And they're saying when you get in those moments of, I am completely disconnected from spirit, to quiet, sit in silence, and at some point you're going to feel there's something else there, the witnessing presence, right? The observing presence. A great exercise to do, Carol, is one I did at the retreat that we were out at Linda's retreat. So everybody, and you can do it right now. Just for a moment, let's stop for just 10 seconds, right? And watch your mind. Watch the thoughts that are coming out. Watch the thoughts that are coming up. So sit here for 10 seconds and watch what comes up. Okay. Now you may have just, your mind may have just repeated what I just said. It may have been kind of quiet because you're kind of waiting, there could have been, pictures come in or thoughts come in from what I had just said prior. Why is she having us do this? That could have come in. But the watching, right? Watching those thoughts. Who is watching? When you're in that mode, who is the watcher? It's your spirit. That's who's watching, because the spirit has nothing to do with the brain. Nothing. The brain is physical. So anytime you're observing your own thoughts, you're sitting in what Gary Zukav calls the seat of the soul. He wrote a whole book about it. You're sitting in what Eckhart Tolle calls the observer position. You're looking at it from consciousness. So anytime you feel like that, my guides are saying, remind yourself that there is a spirit. That's like number one, and that's always the place you can go back to. And it's a good place to okay, maybe I need to back up and start from square one and then go forward from there. And they're saying anytime you feel like I am completely disconnected, this is the worst, like you said, a dry spell, your soul, your higher self, and people can debate on, it doesn't matter if it's a fraction of your higher self or it's your higher self, it doesn't matter. That part of you, that's we'll just say spirit of you, that spirit consciousness of you that resides with you all the time and in your physical body, the part of you that leaves when your body is finished, that's the witnessing presence. So anytime you need to find it, do that exercise and do it for 5 minutes. Give yourself time to settle in. And we did it 10 seconds just to show you. Do it for 5 minutes, do it for 3 minutes, and just sit there and wait. And as you witness what comes into your mind, you're sitting in the seat of the soul. It's a neutral position. It doesn't get caught up in drama at all. It's just watching. It's just quietly sitting there watching and providing the animation, right? Because that's our personality too. When we leave, our personality goes with us. If you don't believe that, you've never been in the presence of a person who's deceased. It's so obvious. That person we knew is gone. That's the spirit, right? But it's the spirit, that spirit part of ourselves. And I've been told, again, a ton of times through mediumship, your spirit is basically yourself, on your best, happiest, healthiest, most engaged, kindest, most compassionate day. That's what you are, right? That's what you are, right? And our being in this atmosphere, in this denseness, with our memory blocks that we have that seem to be lifting more and more as the veil kind of lifts. It can really, really rock us and bring us to depths we didn't know we could get to. But that's also the point, is to feel, right? We've talked about, we come here to experience what we are not, right? To experience it, experience the difference. It's hard to appreciate something when you don't know what it's like not to have it. I don't know how else to put it, but that's what's happening here. Leslie says, I was moping about how my soulmate did not incarnate with me in this lifetime and almost immediately had the thought it was your idea. Like I said, we know these things. There's on some level, we know these things. I'm sure that if you've ever been really, really sick, you've had the feeling of why did I do this to myself? Or what's the lesson here? It's also, I think, just smart, because some things we have chosen, some things we fall into, or we get, whatever, we get off path, or it just is life, or, we're in physical bodies. So it's a little bit precarious, but yeah, it's, somewhere on a soul level, I needed to grow in this. I needed to understand this for some reason. I needed to, it comes to you usually in weird ways, just like that. And sometimes it will come in the moment. Sometimes it comes later. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's obvious. Now I can see that if I hadn't had this experience, I wouldn't have been able to handle this, and this person wouldn't have come in here. And it's easier for humans to look back and see the timeline and see how it was beneficial. But sometimes, like Leslie, you get those immediate responses of like, yeah, this was your idea. And that sounds so much like spirit. It really, really does, because they will give it to you straight, and it's very neutral. It's not sparing your feelings, but it's not hurting your feelings either. It's just telling it like it is, and like, well, it was your idea. You wanted to do it alone this time, and we talked about this, and I tried to tell you I'd come in halfway, and you said no, and or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that totally jives with how I know my own guides, Leslie. So okay. I agree with this, Deanne. Especially when your energy is very high, when you feel like I can withstand, blows today, or I can withstand this today. I just feel like I am, at a really high ebb today. Share it with someone who's not. Yeah, I agree with that. At the same time, being aware, because there are those energies. I talked about again in the video that I did, that watching, I hadn't been in Trump's energy in that way for years. It's been years. I have not, and I don't think even then I watched, like, I think it was probably the last debate was the last time that I was in his energy that long. I was physically ill. I had heart palpitations. I felt like I was going to be sick. I was so nauseous. There was something going on there. So I even wouldn't, maybe some of what was going on there is his energy in the room. I mean, that's true for Biden too. He hasn't been in that energy for, and I'm not saying that I got, you can go back and look at the video, what I got with Biden and stuff, but it could have added to it. We don't know. But I know that, when we're at high ebbs, it's really good to share it with people who need it, because low energy can affect you as well. And so be aware of, is my energy with this person, are they draining too much, or are they bringing me down instead of me doing the opposite? So being aware, Deanne, as you do that, like I said, I was completely taken off guard. Had I known, I would have saged beforehand. I would have made preparations, right? I would have done an extra protective prayer. I would have done things differently, but it hit me with so his energy has gotten more chaotic, low, slow. It's a very, it's a kind of an insidious in a way. So just be aware of that. And we are talking about energy, right? And the actions we do, and the things we think, and the way we live, and it affects that. And so if you're, being mean and being cruel and thinking of schemes and ripping people off, is that energy, that's your energy. That's what you're pulling in. That's what is staying with you. And so by being neutral, like my guides, it's just energy. It's just energy. But don't underestimate some of the lower energies out there, and rest up and fuel up and do the things you need to do to stay in a good place. And that's why we always talk about kind of putting the oxygen mask on yourself before you hand it over to other people. But yes, I agree, Deanne. If you can share it when people need it, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about this. And we could put it again more in general terms rather than political, because this happens all the time, right? Um, So they're showing me things like sports, like football and baseball, and they're saying some decent people are still thinking of it like, the red and the blue, the my team, your team. And they're not really looking at it any deeper than that. This is my team and we won one, so that's good. And that's kind of a very surface level. And some people are there. They're just there. They may not realize, or they don't understand, or they don't believe, what's really happening here. So they're just at that surface level of my team won, your team lost. That's good. So you have some of that. They're saying you have people that have been fooled, that are actually, because they're decent, they think, well, if someone's lying on camera repeatedly for 90 minutes, they'd say to themselves, if they're good people, they would say, well, somebody wouldn't lie about that. So there must be some truth to it, or he wouldn't just say that. So maybe I have it wrong. That's how decent they are. They don't believe that. I've seen that on camera, so I know that is true. Where people will say, like, well, he wouldn't lie about that, because who would do that? What kind of person would do that? And I can't believe he'd be that bad. So it is taking advantage of some people's goodness and decency that has happened here. So there's some taking advantage of people's naivety or unwillingness to see the obvious bad in people. It can be, it's my team and your team. And they're talking about being deceived, people being told so much that the other team is worse. And so that whatever this is, I know it's bad, but this is worse. There's some of that. So there's lots of ways. They're saying too, this goes back, it's all over the place. You see it all the time where decent people are brought into horrible things, or good people are convinced of horrible things, to do something horrible, or it can be fear. It can be not knowing, not being educated, not being able to get to the right information or the right sources. It can be, so they're saying it's kind of a mixture when it comes to good and decent people. And they're saying too, they're even like challenging me on good and decent. They're saying, maybe don't use, think of it that way. People that feel more comfortable in chaos than in kind of order. People that feel more comfortable in disconnection rather than connection. People that they're at a certain phase in their life or a certain vibration that it feels uncomfortable to be in these other things, or they're so disillusioned, they're so cut off that they really can't. They don't believe in those things anymore. So they're saying even drop the good and decent and think of it as that. It's kind of the types of things that a higher vibration moves into and that a lower vibration moves into. The lower vibration is more comfortable in chaos and anger and fear, and it's just more comfortable there. And a higher vibrating spirit is more comfortable with connection and compassion and love and understanding. And so they're just saying that's where they're comfortable. And they're even talking about, I don't know why, again, I don't know why, but they're bringing up bullying. And they're saying sometimes that is the case with bullying, is that a person comes in that is of a higher vibration and the people around them are uncomfortable with that person. That's what it's like. They pick on the shy person, or they pick on the whatever person. That sometimes they're saying, not always, but sometimes that's the case, is that it's a matter of just feeling uncomfortable and not being able to name it. And so I notice I'm uncomfortable when this person appeared, so get rid of that person. And so they're saying that that can be the case even in the case of bullying, that can rear up. And they're even saying on the other side, you go where you're comfortable. You go where you're comfortable. So if somebody's had an awful, horrible, miserable life and they go to their side, they will go to a place where they can be with that and move slowly to a different place, or be with other, commiserate kind of with other people that have had this experience. They're even showing like group therapies kind of like that. They're saying like group therapies kind of like that, where you discuss and you commiserate and you delve into what happened and why this happened. And it's not necessarily that is of a high vibration. It's kind of a lower vibration, but you're working it out. You're working on it. You're figuring it out so that you can move to a higher vibration, right? This is all this stuff is new to me, you guys. So I'm just letting you know what they're saying. Yeah, and James, I agree with you. And I mean I might disagree on the verbiage. I wouldn't say perfect. You absolutely can say perfect, but I would say it has a place. It all has a place and is working to something perfect, or working to something that is of a very high vibration, right? Yeah. Yeah, and Linda C, I think that, you know, that is kind of what we're talking about. Yeah, and different, again, different verbiage, right? But that may resonate with people, that working on self-love, and loving the whole self, loving your mistakes because they got you to somewhere else, loving the, you know, even the parts of you that need to heal, or the parts of you that need to improve, being aware of that, you know, that's important to love that part of us too. Loving the whole self, right? And that, and it, yeah, it makes sense to me, because as long as we're at odds with and fighting against or disappointed in, or whatever language you want to use, in our mistakes, or in the parts of ourselves we don't like, or whatever, that lingers there. And when we work on ourselves and lift those things up, or neutralize them, as my guides say, neutralize them, it lifts everything up, because it lifts us up. And we're part of the micro, but we have a micro, but we're part of the macro too. So anytime we lift everything. Everything is connected. Okay. Okay, let's end with this one, Moon Compass. And we're going to go right into, I didn't put a separate thing for our healing for the states. And so we're going to go right into that. So if you want to stay for that, please do. If you need to move on in your day, that's okay. You can come back and watch it later. But take part in that if you are interested in it, because it all helps. You mentioned a lot of souls leaving at this point in human history. What can you tell us about the souls who are arriving? So right off the bat, they're saying that some of them are the same people. You're having, as time is like moving faster, and that is happening too, as far as the turnaround. So people that maybe would take years and years to design a new life and whatever, there's a lot of quick turnarounds coming right back. So you're having that. So that's one thing about the souls coming in. They're showing like a present being wrapped and tied up with a bow. And so I feel like it's going to be a lot of souls coming in who are here to wrap things up, to end some of these things we've been going around for ages: war, famine, disconnection. They're here to wrap that up. They're here to kind of move us to other, get us kind of end that cycle. And it's not like stamping it out. It's just having it come to its conclusion. So a lot of souls will be coming in that are that's going to be their part of their task, is wrapping these things up, helping to wrap them up, helping us to get from this place. And so probably the people coming in now, I guess what they're telling us is that they are the ones that are going to be alive for both for the third dimension to the fifth dimension's kind of ascension. That they are the ones that are going to be kind of ushering that in a big way. Because to me, it feels like they're the ones that are going to be wrapping up kind of these old, dense, dark energies that we've been messing around with for a long time. I'm hearing if you've seen Hamilton, I'm hearing that song. So I'm going to go down here and see what you guys think about this, because I just, I just try to interpret, but I'm hearing that song, and if you don't know it, it's okay. It's that I'm not throwing away my shot, not throwing away my shot. And so that, I feel like this may be talking about a final opportunity. So it may be like the last opportunity for people to move into and experience these lower level energies. So that's kind of what I'm feeling, that it's something that's ending here, that that anyone is like the going out of business sale, right? You want to experience this, you better go now. That's kind of what it feels like. So there may be some of these things that just won't be here anymore, though. Certain types of certain types of energy scenarios, war, I'm hoping, but war, things like that will not be a thing anymore. And so if you want to experience that, if you want to have that experience, which don't kid yourself, people do want that experience. They wanted the experience of being a soldier and being in these real depths of violence and these kinds of things. So to fully understand it and fully understand what the opposite of that is, right? So that may be it as well. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Yes, the circle of life includes birth and death. Yeah. Yeah. I thank you, James. So James is saying I'm spot on. I will I will go with James. James seems brilliant. Ending of an age, last chance for a while anyway to complete certain experiences. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling. And this is the last shot, the last time you can, at least, like you said, at least for a while. Yeah, right, Cindy Lou, that would make so much sense, right? That we're having all of this kind of this flux of all of this yuckiness, kind of like it could be this last go around where it's like, hey, you want to do it, you better do it now. Going out of business sale, crappy energy for sale. Yeah. And so India, let's just look at India real quick. What's happening with India? I'm feeling like India there's going to be kind of a kind of like what's going to be going on all around. There's going to be kind of a raise in the spiritual enlightenment and spirit and togetherness and working together. That's going to happen. But what I'm getting is that because there's a lot that India gets right. There's a high like frequency of spirit energy there. It's so obvious. But they're saying you can't, on the earth, you can't just be that. You've got to have the opposite too. And so that's why you do have some of kind of the lowest energies there as well. You have some real you have poverty and things that are kind of lower vibrations there too, corruption, things like that. So it's like there is this really high vibrating. So, but they're talking about it kind of coming more like this. So it's kind of like the high vibration might move a little lower and the lower might move a little higher. And there's kind of this more balance, I guess is what I want to say, more balance. It feels very like almost like a seesaw, how a seesaw is up this way and then it's up the other way. And it's kind of like it's going to come to more of a more balance. That's what it feels like. Yes, the caste system. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in India that's really good and really difficult. And you could say that probably about a lot of, I think of Israel too. So many good things, but so many things that are just off right now. And it's like, yeah, it's gotta, but they're saying they're going to be moving towards balance. So, and that's, yeah. Okay. So let's move into our 2-minute 50 state healing. I decided to wait on North Dakota. I just got the message to wait. So I feel like maybe that needs more attention than I think. So let's go to, we're going to do today, and I'm wearing my what's his face glasses. I can't think of his name. You know who I mean, right? Charles Nelson Riley glasses. Yeah. So Idaho. And what I do is I just kind of do almost like it's not really remote viewing, but it's almost like remote feeling. I kind of just go over the state and just see what comes up to me. I don't dive in and do like an hour-long reading. I just kind of see what kind of floats up to me when I'm kind of like around it, what stands out. So this is known by no means every problem they have or exactly, spot on. I just feel what kind of like comes up, right? So the first thing that came up with Idaho, which was weird to me, was money. So I'm like, well, what is the money thing? You can understand that in places like, California and, even Utah kind of made sense with all the influx of but money. And to me, it felt more like worry about money and worry about money, like families worrying about money. And so, and I got also this worrying about where to live, places to live. So I don't know if it's feeling displaced or not feeling like you have what you think you deserve for what you do or what that is, but places to live, strong education concerns, which is interesting. And to me, it felt like people might be moving more to homeschooling. So and again, people that live in the state will know what this is that I'm picking up. And it could be, that this is just the way it looks to me. But I also felt some paranoia, kind of paranoid about the world and the future and even the country, like parts of the country, kind of almost bordering on not just fear, but paranoia. I also feel there's a split between, there are a lot of like splits between men and women, splits between the young and the old, that are very big, like, something you might see in like in the 1800s, it's just like there's these splits that felt like they were very far apart. Maybe they're more like traditional households or something. I don't know, but split between men and women, split between old and young, rich and poor. There just seemed to be divides that were like there, these caverns in between. So, but I also got, and I usually try to look at, get the good things I'm picking up as well, which is a love for family, a love for smaller communities. Like they love, what it felt like to me was like they kind of love their downtowns and like getting together with their neighbors and kind of that kind of thing. They love the land. They love animals. And they are, to me, it almost felt like fascinated by wildlife and that kind of thing. So it kind of, in some ways, in the positives, it kind of felt a little like Walnut Grove in Little House on the Prairie, where you have that kind of close knit community. And I don't know if I was picking up on what it actually is or what they would like it to be. I'm not really sure, but I was just picking that up. Oh, it could be paranoid about illegal. Yeah, it could be. I feel like, in general, just that kind of fear laced with paranoia. And it could be from being misinformed. I mean, who knows? But that's what I picked up. So I thought for Idaho, and this is, I just kind of give you all the information, then you can decide where you go. If you go to all three places, if you focus on one place and do the other places later, whatever you'd like to do. And I thought we could bless or pray for or send in the energy for Idaho, for unity, bless it with unity, with calm, with contentedness, with homes, safe places for everyone, and safe places they can go to, even if it's within safe spaces, and safe homes and safe spaces for all. Okay. And then, and again, the reason I give you the information at the beginning, that the stuff I'm picking up and the other stuff that's there too, is so if there's something that you personally know about or resonates with you, like, oh, education, I've been so worried about education, and so maybe you just focus in on a hopefulness and a prayer for Idaho's education. That's fine. You kind of do you, and it's just a group effort. And I believe that with with a communal kind of working together, we'll hit it all. So don't worry. But you go where you feel pulled to. Okay. If it's everything, it's everything. It's one place and one topic, that's fine too. So for Montana, so we're doing Idaho, Montana, and South Dakota. Okay. So Montana, I felt a feeling of being left behind, and I didn't know if it was like left behind economically or maybe technology, kind of feeling like maybe I don't know what their internet's like or how they deal with technology, but kind of feeling left behind a little bit. I also got something about transportation, moving from one place to the other, being kind of a headache or difficult or something that needs help. Money worries, again, with the money, right? Everybody's in that money state. Up and down in positivity with up and down in positivity. So there's parts that felt very positive and parts that felt very negative, and I felt like it had to do with the fluctuation of the weather. So maybe everybody loving the summers but hating the winters or something like that. But this flux and positivity that I feel like is geared to the weather or connected to the weather somehow. Getting from place to place worries. I got that several times. And then the positive, loving the land, loving the beauty of the landscape. I feel like there is so much appreciation there for the beauty of what they have and the land and what the land provides as well. So I feel like there might be a lot of hunting and fishing there. There might be a lot of, even though it's some of us, like I would never hunt or fish, but I know that there are people that do. And they have a different view of that than I do. But I feel like there's a lot of appreciation for what the land provides, what animals provide. So there's I feel like there may be a lot of that stuff, but there's also the appreciation of it. Again, very old cowboy feeling, old prairie type of living, whatever that is, simple, more simply living a more simple or a less complex, maybe relationship with the land and animals than we do have now, right? We want to take care of animals and not see them hurt, and that's more complex than it was way back when. And so maybe that less complex way of looking at it. I also got their desire to keep things small, which is kind of similar to Idaho, where I felt like they really liked the kind of smaller knit communities and smaller, maybe way things used to be. I don't know, but it's like this desire to keep things small. And maybe it's mindsets too, keeping mindsets small. Don't think too hard. Don't think too gray. Keep it black and white, that kind of thing. But I thought we could bless Montana. And again, these are just suggestions. That's why I'm giving you all the information so you can decide for yourself. Bless them with calm and belonging, feeling like they belong in the US, in the world, on a micro level and a macro level, belong here on earth as an individual as well. Ease paranoia and worry, and bless them with more understanding and a continued strong connection to the land. And to nature and stuff, and that kind of expands and gets more nuanced, but that continues. Okay, South Dakota was weird. The story of the locusts, I think it's from the Bible. I think it is. The story of the locusts came up, so I don't know if there is a some kind of bug infestation coming, like it's literal, or if it's just that something is overlaying, something that's a problem that's overlaying is going to have something else that comes to overlay to fix it. So there, I got that. I got a lot of farmers worrying, people with land worrying. I don't know what they're worrying about, water, drought. They could be worrying about, being able to afford stuff, taxes. I'm not sure, but there's this feeling of worry among people with land or farmers or something like that. I also got a lot of feelings of anger and feeling lost or ignored by leadership. So, and we know the leadership, right? So there's cicadas. Thank you. Oh, cicadas. Okay, maybe there is something going on there. I don't know. So a lot of anger and feelings of being lost or ignored by their leadership. And then I saw leaders being bathed in money, like literally taking baths in money. So there's something going on, and this is just, it's for entertainment purposes only. I don't work in the leadership in South Dakota. These are just messages that come in. Yeah. But I got, literally bathing in money. So I don't know if that means bribes, lobbyists. I don't know, but it's some kind of money that's being thrown at them for whatever reason. I don't even know what is they deal in, some places deal in oil and tobacco or whatever. I don't even know what they deal in, but it's something to do with leadership and taking and getting lots and lots and lots of money. And I don't feel like it goes to anybody else. I feel like it stays there. And hard hearts, kind of hardened looks at things, maybe jaded kind of leadership. And then once again, with the positive, I felt like there was this strong bond with the land and animals. And also kind of a certain, in many of the people, a certain dignity and pride in the past, in some of the things in the past and some things that are still there. So, and I don't know if that goes to Native Americans, if that's what that is, but there's something about that as well. So those are kind of the positive things. And so I thought we can bless them with new leadership, hope that they bring in new leadership that has their best interests at heart, that they have the best interest for the people and the land, and to help to see the money get to the people and communities that need it most. Because I feel like there's a huge cavern there that's just, it's not making it there. and then bless them with protected land and resources, because I felt like when I got that locust thing, I felt like something's going, whether that means, it could mean people coming in to drill or to whatever, frack or something, but bless them with protected land and resources, and that the what comes from that will come to the people that need it most. Okay, so there you've got your 3 states. We've got our 2 minutes. And once again, like I said, go where you think you need to go. Hit each place for a little bit, and focus on the issues that you feel most connected to, you feel like really connect with you. And we'll take 2 minutes to do that. And if you feel like it's not enough time, do it in your meditation later, or come back and watch this again. But it's something we can do that is positive, I think, and we'll hopefully bring in the right energies for people to make the right decisions. That's what we're doing this for. And right could be right for every different community, every different state, but that they will find a place where they can truly be able to listen to and know in their heart what's best for where they are. Okay. All right. So, and in the United States as a whole. Okay. So we'll give it 2 minutes. So we'll go ahead and start now. Okay, guys. Well, as always, thank you for your questions. Thank you for being here today, spending your Sunday with me. I appreciate it. I love spending this time, and I love that we're together as a community. So thank you so much. And if you, check out the club. The club's there if you need it. And hi, Kelly. And I hope you guys are all have a great rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful 4th. I'll be on Thursday, but have a great 4th. Is it on Thursday? Yeah, we'll be on Thursday. Whether you can make it or not, you can always watch it later. But we'll see you then, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.